Okay, hi everybody. I'm just going to work up a few rows of this swatch. This is the overlay mosaic design that I have. This is called Mosaic Squares. And if you have never even worked up a mosaic pattern, an overlay mosaic pattern, I'm just going to show you the first few rows of this just so you know how it works. You can totally design without ever having crocheted one up, because I definitely did that with my Peaks and Pillars pattern. I had never crocheted overlay mosaic before I designed that. But I'm just going to show you how it works up. Okay. And when I have taught, I've taught making this pattern in the past, like what I say is, after I teach you the first like 3 rows, you're fine. You'll be good to go. But you just kind of want to know how it works first. So that's what I'm going to do first thing before we like hop into how to design your own chart. Okay. So what I like to do is we need a foundation row of 15 stitches. We start down here. We work this way. Okay, we need a foundation row of 15 stitches. I like using the foundation single crochet. You can totally chain 16 and then single crochet 15 for your foundation row. But what I'm going to do is foundation single crochet. I will link you to a video that I have on how to do this. But if you've never done foundation single crochet, it's really neat because your chains and your single crochet happen at the same time, and you can just make this as long as you want. So you're not having to like say you're making a big blanket, you're not having to like chain 200 and then single crochet 200 only to find out, wait, I only have like 190. You know, I'm like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna frog it back? So while I'm crocheting, this top side is actually like the chain side, and here you'll see that totally looks like single crochet, right? So that's what I'm doing. I will link to a video on foundation single crochet that I have. Okay, when you get to the end of your foundation row, when you get 15 single crochets, there's like a weird bump right here. Oh well. Then what you're gonna do is fasten off. If you refer to the tips that I have above or before this, you will know that each row is made up in a different color. Okay, so every other row is a different color, and we start on the right side and we go to the left side and we fasten off at the end of each row, and then we start again on the right side moving to the left side. If you're left-handed, you can start on the left side and go to the right side, especially for this pattern, no problem. Okay. So when you get, so now we're ready to start row 1. I kind of inverted my colors. So the black on here, color B, is actually the blue. Okay, so sorry if that's going to confuse you, but that is just how I did it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach our yarn here, insert your hook into your first single crochet stitch. And here, I know that this is where I start, and it's not this way because the bottom of the V's in the single crochet stitches are pointed to the right side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through, and I chain 1 and single crochet to start. Okay, so your first stitch here is a beginning border stitch. For the beginning border stitch, I chain 1 to attach and then single crochet into that first stitch. Okay, probably a standing single crochet would work. I've never done that. Embarrassing. Okay, so you chain 1 single crochet through both loops here, and then at the end, this stitch, the ending border stitch, we single crochet through both loops for that one. Right? And then even though it looks like there's color change on the chart, remember that this whole row is just worked up in color B, which is my blue. Okay, this whole row is color B, even though it looks like we're changing color. You're just using one whole row in one color. Make sense? And then for row 2, we move back to color A, and that whole thing is done in one color. But the way that you get your color change is when you do these drop down double crochets. So for this whole round, we're just looking, okay, just empty squares, okay? We don't have any X's, we just have empty squares. So the empty squares mean back loop only single crochet. So for this whole row, except for the first stitch and in the last stitch, we're going to do back loop only single crochet. We're going to single crochet in the back loop only. If you don't know what that is, here you have your V. This is the front loop, and then the back loop is here, right? So for this round, I'm just going to do back loop only single crochet. So in the 14 stitches in the middle, or 13 stitches, we're going to do back loop only single crochet. First stitch, remember, is single crochet through both loops. Oops, I think I split my yarn again. This yarn is just splitting on me. Okay, so single crochet through the back loop only all the way across, except the last stitch, the 15th stitch, is going to be single crochet through both loops as our ending border stitch. Oops, I think I messed up because this is my last stitch. This is stitch number 15, and I need to do single crochet through both loops. This is my ending border stitch. Okay, so you see this is the foundation row, and then this is row 1 with the blue with my color B. At the end of each row, you snip and fasten off. I fasten off with chain 1. I've heard you can do a chain 2. I just haven't done that to make it more secure. It's whatever you want, okay? So that is what it looks like at the end of your first row. Okay, now we're ready to work row 2. And row 2 is where we learn about our drop downs. Our drop down double crochet, or double crochet in the front loop, only 2 rows down. So we're going to start this how we started row 1. Insert our hook over here back on the right side. And now we're going to pick up color A once again and attach it for our beginning border stitch. I chain 1, and then that's to attach it, and then single crochet here in that same stitch through both loops. Okay, so our beginning and ending border stitch, single crochet through both loops. Any other single crochet in the middle is we're going in through the back loop only. And the reason why we go through the back loop only is because then that opens up the front loop. And so when we do this X, when we do this double crochet through the front loop, we're going to work 2 rows down. So I'm going to work a double crochet in the front loop of my foundation row of the first of stitch number 2. So stitch 1 is here, the foundation, our beginning border stitch. And so stitch 2 is here, but instead of working into the second stitch of color B, I'm going to go down here to color A, my foundation row. Yarn over because we're doing a double crochet. This is English terms, okay? American terms, US terms, okay? And here's the front loop. We use the back loop for our row 1, so that left the front loop of our foundation row. So here we go. We're doing a double crochet through that front loop. I think I got some blue in there, but that's okay. Bless me. Here, so that was stitch number 2 here. So here we have 2 of those in a row. So stitch 3 would be this one, but instead of working in that stitch, it's also a drop down double crochet. And here you got to find out where you're working. So here is the loop that I used for stitch 2, and so stitch 3 is right here. Okay, so we're dropping down, and that helps with the color change. So when you see color change in overlay mosaic, it's all due to those drop downs. Okay, otherwise it would just look like stripes like this on the back side, but because we're working down our double crochets in the front loop 2 rows down, that's how we get our color change. Hey, isn't that beautiful? So we've just done these 2 stitches right here. Make sense? Okay, so stitch number 4, after we work our 2 double crochets in the front loop, stitch number 4 is done in the back loop of our next stitch. How do we know which stitch to go? Because these ones are kind of hidden. You can just pull this back, and if you're unsure, stitch 1 is here through both loops, then here's 2 and 3, and so number 4 is here. So we're going to work stitch number 4 into the back loop only. Okay, and then stitch 5 is double crochet through the front loop again. Remember, we're using the front loop 2 rows below. Number 6 is, I just did my single crochet through the back loop here. And then 7, 8, and 9, 1, 2, 3, we're going into the front loop. This is the front loop for this stitch number 6. So 7 is right next to it. Seven, and here is number 8. So we're going through the front loop, number 9 as well, double crochet. You just have one stitch that like sticks out, and that's how you know which one it is. Okay, and we're just going to finish this off.
Where's my book? I want to do it. Mario, a song, Pokemon. Mario, sorry, Pokemon.
Okay, can you be quiet for just a second while I talk? Okay, I'm working up stitch 14 here on row 2, which is the front loop double crochet. Ooh. Okay, and then we're ready for stitch 15. And this is our ending border stitch, right? Which is a single crochet through both loops in that last stitch. So we find that one right here. Okay, through both loops. Oh, that was my ice machine. And then snip and fasten off. I fasten off with a chain 1. Okay. So that's the end of row 2 with color A. Now we're going to switch back to color B, which is my blue. We're going to work row 3. And after this row, you should have a general idea of what you're doing when you want to crochet up a mosaic chart. So you insert your hook through that first stitch, that beginning border stitch. And this is how I start. Pull through. Oops. Pull through and chain 1. And then single crochet in that first stitch. What just happened? This is giving me some hard times. Sorry, guys. Okay, so single crochet through that first stitch. Okay, we're working row 3, which is color B. We use color B all the way to the end. And here's a secret. So if you're going to be designing your own chart, this is something that you need to know, is that we know that this stitch here has to be a single crochet through the back loop only, because I cannot do a double crochet through the front loop, because the front loop is covered, right? The front loop is hidden by this stitch. So if you have an X right below, you cannot have like 2 X's right in a row. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So when you're making your design, you might like think, oh, like this is a beautiful picture, but then when you go to crochet it up, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll notice that I do not have X's right in a row. Here we'll have like this solid color A, where we'll just like have a nice line there, like right here. That's what that looks like. And you notice those are every other, to make it look like a solid line like that. And like this square even, you have 2 double crochets in a row to make that solid line. And then to make a line like this, you just don't have any double crochets above it. That's how you get a nice little solid line like that. So it's just some little tidbits to think about when you're designing. We'll get to that another time. Okay, so we did our first stitch. 2 and 3 are double or single crochet in the back loop. Single 1. Okay, and then here is a fun one. We're going to do a double crochet in the front loop of row 1, or other color B. And you can see that one peeking through right here. You see that blue peeking through? That's your front loop that you're going to go through. So yarn over, because we're doing a double crochet, remember. And I push this up through that loop that's sticking out. Like so, right? And that's how you have it. You know, I think if I went down a hook size, we wouldn't be like having this loose tension here. And that wouldn't like bulge up like that. Okay, so then 5 is a single crochet in the back loop. Let's put this up like that so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then 6, once again, is we're going through the front loop, double crochet, my X here. So find that one and see if that had been a double crochet. I couldn't do that. Wouldn't be able to find that front loop. So just things to think about when you're designing. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You see how there's no front loop here for me to grab onto, so I couldn't even do it. So we're doing 3 single crochets in the back loop. And then this double crochet through the front loop. That was this one. And single crochet in the back loop. Double in the front. You might hear this called a drop double. Yep. Something happened. There's my drop double. Single, single, and then to end it off, we are going to do a single crochet through both loops. You see how that's ending border stitch is a little bit different since it's through both loops. Okay, guys, that is the first 3 rows plus a foundation single crochet row. So the first 3 rows of this mosaic squares pattern, and that I was able to walk you through like what the X's in the empty boxes mean, what each stitch means, and so when you are making up your own design. Just be on the lookout for that, okay? So my homework for you is just to work up this swatch, finish this up, and then post it in my Facebook group, and we would love to see it.